For years, open rates for emails was a pretty reliable metric to measure how engaged your subscribers were with your brand. But because of Apple's mail privacy protection, you can no longer really rely on this metric as much as what you used to be able to. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about what Apple's mail privacy protection is, how it impacts open rates in a practical sense. I'm going to show you how you can see how many people in your list have the Apple Mail privacy protection enabled. And I'm also going to show you how you can set up segments that take that into account when you're trying to figure out who are your most engaged subscribers. So let's get into it. Hello, my name's Rod. Thanks for joining me on the channel today. If this is your first time, welcome, and I hope you find today's content useful. Today, I'm going to talk to you about Apple's mail privacy protection and how it impacts on open rates and the way that you can measure how engaged your subscribers are. So let's jump on the computer and I'll talk about what Apple's mail privacy protection actually is. So this is an example that just shows how mail privacy protection works inside the Mail app on an Apple device. So as you can see, when you first open the email app, it comes up and it says, do you want to enable mail privacy protection? And you can choose to either select protect mail activity or don't. And it's worth noting that if you don't have Apple Mail as your default email client, that mail privacy protection will be turned on by default in your settings anyway. So I guess that if you do then later on switch to using Apple Mail, then you'll have this turned on by default. So what does this actually do? Well, that's where it gets interesting. So when someone opens an email in the Apple Mail client, what happens is the mail, when it gets delivered from the sender, gets delivered to Apple's mail service and they open it. So the first thing is the actual open time isn't a reliable metric anymore because somebody may not have even looked at that email yet, but from an open point of view, Apple's mail servers have already opened it. And they will also open any images that are in the mail at random times over a unspecified period of time after the email is actually delivered. So that's all done in line with Apple's mail privacy protection policy. Now, there's some pretty interesting statistics here that show in 2020, iOS mail was responsible for 38% of the top 10 email clients, and that then climbed to 46%. That was in 2020. It looks like this must have been done in 2019. And it was 49.8% by the end of the year. So I wonder what it's like now in 2023. So let's jump in one of our client accounts and we'll have a look. So here we are inside of Klaviyo. And I'm going to show you how you can create a segment that will tell you how many people have Apple's mail privacy protection enabled. So we click on create list segment and create a segment. Let's just call it be enabled. And in the definition, we're going to say what someone has done or not done. And we're going to use opened email at least once over all time. And we're going to add a filter in, which is Apple privacy open true. And let's also add in that someone is not suppressed for email. So what's this Apple privacy open thing? It's a flag that's attached to the email so that email service providers like Klaviyo, like MailChimp can actually see that flag and then they can determine whether someone has got Apple's mail privacy protection enabled or not. So the segment's being created now. You see we've got 2,449 members out of 5,989. So around about 45% or so. So let me show you a more practical example of how you can use that information to, say, create a list of your most engaged subscribers over the last 90 days. So I'm going to rename this segment now, engaged 90 days. What we're going to do is we're going to change this to false. Now, you could continue just to ignore the fact that there are some people that will have Apple's mail privacy protection enabled because they could well be reading the email as soon as it arrives, right? But if you want to get data that excludes that, this is how you would do it. So we say where Apple privacy open is false, and we could also say, and we would change here at least once in the last 90 days. So that's just a really simple segment. Anyone who's opened an email in the last 90 days, but only if they don't have Apple's mail privacy protection enabled. So let's just update that. And you can see that you've got 2,678 people. And just to test, let's go back and edit the definition and we'll take out that filter, update the segment. And you can see how that really changes the number of people that are inside that segment. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of what Apple's mail privacy protection is and how that impacts your open rate metrics, how you can examine those in Klaviyo and create segments that work around and make use of the Apple Privacy Open flag. If you found today's video useful, please go ahead and hit the like button and click subscribe even. I really appreciate your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.